Review: The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, a well-done film based on a true story. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare is a 2024 spy action comedy film directed, co-written and co-produced by Guy Ritchie, based on the 2014 book Churchill's Secret Warriors, the explosive true story of the Special Forces Desperadoes of World War II by Damien Lewis. The film portrays a heavily fictionalized version of Operation Postmaster. The film had its premiere on April 13, 2024 in New York, and was released in the United States on April 19, 2024. In late 1941, at the height of the Second World War, the United Kingdom is struggling to halt Nazi Germany's attempts to take over Europe, with London regularly suffering bombing runs at the hands of the Luftwaffe, with the United States yet to officially join the war, and their supply and aid ships constantly sunk by German U-boats. Brigadier Colin Gubbins, with the indirect backing of Prime Minister Winston Churchill, prepares to initiate Operation Postmaster, an off-the-books sabotage mission, intended to disrupt the Nazis' U-boat resupply operation at the Spanish-controlled island Fernando Po. While so agents Marjorie Stewart and Friedrich Heron depart by train, Gubbins enlists renegade commando Gus March-Phillipps to assemble a ground team to destroy the Italian supply ship Duchessa d'Aosta and 2 trolleys attached to it. Utilizing the Danish fishing trawler Maid of Honor, Gus and his allies, Henry Hayes, Freddy Alvarez, and Danish naval officer Anders Lassen, begin the slow sail to Fernando Po. Upon discovering that saboteur Geoffrey Appleyard, whom Gubbins had sent ahead on the assumption that Gus would show interest in wanting him on the team, had been captured by Gestapo agents, they divert course to a Nazi-controlled section of the Canary Islands for a rescue mission. Meanwhile, arriving early on the island, Marjorie and Heron use the latter's illegal gambling hall to recruit backup for Gus' team, while Marjorie seduces Heinrich Löhr, the SS commander in charge. Upon learning that the Duchessa intends to depart 3 days ahead of schedule, Gus has his crew sail through a British naval blockade of Nazi-occupied West Africa, despite knowing they'll be arrested should their unauthorized mission be discovered. On the night of the intended raid, Marjorie and Heron learn that Löhr has had the Duchessa's hull reinforced, despite the Italian attaché's reservations. Barely warned of this in time, Gus and Appleyard decide that their best course of action is to hijack the ships and use them as a bartering chip, after a mole in Gubbins' staff reveals the mission to senior command. Despite Löhr eventually catching on when Marjorie's act begins to slip, the raid is ultimately successful, and Marjorie shoots Löhr in the head, delivering the boats to a British fleet outside Lagos. The team is nonetheless arrested. While waiting to be court-martialed, they are saved and recruited by Churchill as part of his Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, as their actions have not only severely damaged the Nazis' naval strength, but have allowed America, who had recently joined the war following a Japanese sneak attack on an American naval base in Hawaii, to join the European theater. A montage of details reveal the post-operation activities of several figures before the credits. Gus became a war hero, and would helm several similar raids during the war. Before marrying Marjorie at the start of her movie career, Appleyard would go on to become a highly accomplished spy, notable for surviving a year of Nazi torture without breaking. Lassen would go on to be part of raids outside the group until his death in 1945. Ian Fleming, who had been part of Gubbins' inner circle during this time, would use Operation Postmaster as the inspirational basis for his James Bond novels. Box office information. In the United States, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare was released alongside Abigail and Spy Times Family Code, White, and is projected to gross $5.8 million from 2,845 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made $3.7 million on its first day, including $1.45 million from previews. As a fan of both Henry Cavill and Guy Ritchie, I was thrilled to find an early access showing of this movie at a nearby theater. Ungentlemanly Warfare looked to be a good time, and indeed it is. It's a neat story, and they made the telling of it fun. Thankfully, it isn't goofy. It's not non-stop jokes, but it has a good sense of humor, and I heard a good bit of chuckling in the theater throughout the movie, much of it coming from myself. You can tell Cavill had fun with this role. He shows off some range as his character is very different from the brooding muscle man that many people associate him with. It was delightful watching him do comedy. I haven't seen much of Alan Ritchson's work, but it was easy to see why he has such a growing fanbase. He's the muscle in this movie and proves to be a great action star. The whole cast is great, and they give us a lot of fun characters. Action comedies seem to be Guy Ritchie's specialty. He maintains a good balance of action and comedy, and works so well with large casts, as he lets every character feel like they matter to the story.